Welcome to another episode of Blockchain Basement. We're gonna have to adjust that.
It's pajama day here at the Hit Network office.
That is right. And as TJ said, it's pajama day every day for some of us.
Yeah. I'll just say go
for a lot of people.
Yeah, go to the Y and you can see every day is pajama day for Taco. DZ's in sweats constantly, so he wore actual clothes today just to do something different. and man, Frank, that hit on the morning show. That hoodie was a big hit. Everybody's looking for it. We might have to do our own version of something along those lines. So
right. I wish I knew where we got it from.
But yeah, I'm wearing sweats. I don't know if you guys can see when I stood up. But other than that, black t-shirt. Rocking and rolling. But hey, Bitcoin is moving. It's a miracle. We've got some positive price action. Pumped up overnight, obviously likely on the Fed FOMC meeting. It's starting to flip a little bit dovish. I was even hearing people holding out for possible 0.25% raise or no raise instead of just 50 or 25, which would be absolutely insane. So real quick, we'll do a quick look at the price here. Bitcoin coming in 18,225. Ethereum pushing 1350 at this point, 1341. So positive movements on the day. If you want to see it on TradingView, I'm more on the 1 hour. Obviously, first thing this morning, we kind of had, when was this? Last night. And then boom, quick moves this morning from 17.1 all the way up 18. Here's where we hit 18.1. Now we're sitting at 18.2. So stair-stepping it up. And I was even looking at, just on a very simple TA basis, if you start looking on, on the daily, it's like, okay, well, go lower. Yeah, there you go. Clearly, obviously that's an uptrend. Hey, we're looking, higher highs. Looking on the monthly, hey, higher highs, higher high, like high, moving in the right direction. You have to go all the way out to the 3 months to obviously get back to that, that big crash. But, starting to form a trend up right in this triangle here, which is very positive. It's starting, to look good. We've got this article here, which was interesting. Bitcoin bear market, 70% dip, kills Bitcoin tourist as a metric. And it's a metric that screams buy, which is something we had in the title here. And this is a kind of a new graph I haven't looked at as much. Frank, I forgot. Wait a minute. Hold on. Ooh. Before we get into all the stories, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the case stuff. We're going to talk about, all this stuff. But I forgot to welcome in the Basement Dwellers. The show wouldn't be the same without you guys. You are the show. We started this simply for you guys in the basement. So obviously live on twitch.tv. If you guys want to join us for the live chat and get in the conversation. Somebody, Piccolo Rick, I think, was saying he'd seen it somewhere else thinking it was live this whole time. Now he realizes this is where the show is at. So welcome in Sofa King, Crypto, Manawak, Cole 80, I don't know. Sizzler, BTC, Poppy, Corey Harden. That tweet yesterday was amazing. You were the only one who knew. When I say fun fact, anytime I say or hear or anything along the lines of I've got the magic, I always think of Pitch Perfect, where they perform that song, where I forget the weird guy's name, performs I've Got the Magic, and he shows the clip of him, he's like, has a bird in there. And so Ali B on Blockchain Basement equals bullish. Anyway, Gag92, Sauce Boss, Unforgettable Name, Chef Crypto, Piccolo Rick, Sindrugiver. Is that one of your alts there, Drew?
No, I was out of that
Also,
one.
we've got Prepper Crypto, your friendly neighbor Drew, on the board with us today. We got BJ is slaving away over the new ATB graphics and build out for the new channel moving into next year. What am I drinking? I'm drinking Waterloo. The show brought to you by Twitch and water.
Very bullish on water.
Gotta stay hydrated out there, guys. It's risky. So, why is an act? Okay, yes, Mr. McGoober. Why is an actor turned anti-crypto maxi giving Congress advice? What makes Ben McKenzie a good source for crypto advice? We're gonna get into that later in the show. I was watching some of the hearing this morning. And I was like, is that Ryan from the OC?
I was just gonna say no. The guy from the OC.
Ryan from the OC was testifying for the banking committee today, answering crypto questions. I was like, God, that guy looks so much like. There's no way they would have gotten Ryan from the. I'm like, it's got to be. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh no, that's Ryan from the OC, an actor. He was acting today, that's for sure. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Frankie, how about those likes last night? Everybody enjoying Frankie Candles Premium Discord. If you guys aren't in that Discord yet, huge wins coming out of there, left and right, up and down. So you guys got to hop in there, check out Frankie Candles, his channel, his Discord. I'll try to put the link in the description by the end of this, or attach it wherever. So, but always, guys, anywhere you see this, smash the like, share it, tell a friend. If you're listening to it, like I said, come hang out with us on Twitch. Follow, subscribe on Twitch, do all the things. We really appreciate it because this is a fun show. We like hanging out with you guys. Yeah, and look, that's what you got to do in a bear market, right? Hang out with your friends. So, and we might be potentially getting into the end of a bear market. I know AJ screams it's going lower. Some people are hard, it's going lower. I'm starting to get more and more convinced we have seen a bottom, and some of these metrics here was pretty interesting. This one of the reasons they're saying, swift euphoria destroyed from the Bitcoin bear market, which is very true. I'll just skip down. I don't know. Have you guys ever looked at these kind of heat waves on the movements of coins, where basically the darker it is, the more recently it's moved, the lighter it is, the older the coin. And so it's hard to see here. You can pop me down. We'll try to zoom in on this a little bit.
These are cool. I haven't.
Yeah, this is a little different. The darker stuff down here, it represents recent activity.
Okay.
And the lighter it is, the older the coin is, the less recently it's moved. So I think they explain it up there. I could read it, but you can see, obviously when the movement gets very stagnated, like we're talking about, boring market, no volume, it seems dead. You can see that's coordinates with price dips.
Okay.
You can see that, and obviously the black line is the price.
So this is a good way to see when like long-term holders are selling.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw all those peaks are when the long-term holders are selling their crypto.
Right, and they're selling in obviously bull markets. They're selling into peak price, and then they're reaccumulating back here at the bottom. Or at least that's when things are moving on and off exchange, that sort of stuff. But you can see right here clearly in these dormancy periods is when the price is at its lower, and like we're right here right now, where if you push in on this, you'll see retail has almost completely, it's gone. I mean, there's nothing moving right now. Even back in the, like it's looking a lot like this. You've got 2018, you could see how much, new interest came in. And then, this is 2019 where it went sideways and nothing was happening for a really long time. And then we started, obviously getting close to the halving, things started moving again. We're in that same type of range right here. I guess there it goes. Where it's like, I mean, that's low. That's low. That's about as low as it gets when you.
It looks like they had a spot there 27 or what was that 2015? It looks like it was that low. I think it was the last time.
Yeah, they've got another one down here too that is slightly different. Somebody was talking about that crypto, which was one of those statements from yesterday, which was one of the dumbest things that came out of it. I do tend to agree. A guy been holding that joke forever, been waiting for the moment to roll it out. But hey, it worked. We're all talking about it. So. This is another one, Bitcoin Global USD heat map. See, I didn't look at this one as much. Top buyers, it's kind of the same thing sideways where you've got it going this way. Interesting. Capitulation, accumulation, not increasing densities, which leg down. So I don't know. I thought this was kind of a new chart to look at. It was interesting. Another one showing capitulation, stagnation, opportunities for accumulation. So yeah, and I do think we're going to experience less of a drawdown here. I'm getting more and more convinced that a lot of this SBF stuff did kind of disrupt the typical market flow. Maybe it made us not quite get as high as we could have because we know they were actively shorting a lot of things with the double top, and maybe correct a little bit lower. It's very interesting. Who at Hit Network does all the settings for Twitch? Can you guys set up a page that command links you to? It would be pretty nice to have reference pages that list all of your chat commands and other. Yeah, we'll get there. We've just got a lot of different Twitch stuff going on. BJ sets up a lot of it.
BJ.
Yep.
Yeah. He set up a lot of the stuff for this channel.
I'm impressed with how much Twitch can do. Like outside of just like YouTube,
Yeah.
you can interact way more. You can do all these emojis and sounds. It's fun.
It is fun, and I want to get more creative with what we do with our channel points too. Like right now, obviously, it's fun to do some of those commands and emojis, but we need to gamify it to where it makes us in studio have to do stuff. But I want to put some thought into that because I don't want to be
You want to be doing
dancing like a monkey
weird
for the
stuff.
whole show, which I know you guys would love to do because you're a bunch of trolls. But we love you. We love
What up,
you.
Manawalk?
Yeah, what's up, Manawalk? Oh yeah, Manawalk was a guest here recently. How about having Ray on? Did you guys, everybody in the chat, what did you think about Ray? I thought it was great having him on yesterday. A good conversation.
Seems like he knows his history.
He does. He's a history guy for sure.
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And let's see, we've got in his 1:30. We've got the FOMC meeting should come out, I believe, at 2 or 2:30.
Yeah,
the
we'll
meeting
get the minutes at 2 p.m. today.
2 p.m. Okay, cool. And so that should be positive. Looks like very positive. I mean, we're all the way up to almost 18.3 now.
Oh, baby.
Which feels good. Feels good to see some positive price action.
With all the bad news too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Well, and I think that's kind of what Don Alt's talking about here. You guys know I like crypto Don Alt, even though
He doesn't like BitBoy.
he doesn't like really crypto influencers in general. But he's good analyst. He's been doing this for a long time, and I think he's got a very zoomed out approach, which is the way I like to look at things as well. He's generally a long term trader, but he says as long as the stock market doesn't go to zero, and as long as crypto doesn't get banned in the United States, I can't think of another catalyst to take this significantly below 15K. You can make up your reasons for sub 12K. I'll just happily buy whatever you sell. And he's got a couple other things. This is a setup he's been talking about since November 29th, or actually, yeah, November 29th. He was saying, I'd still love to see some proof being alive. And I've been sending these to Frank every time he updates them because I think they're very interesting. I mean, he's basically setting up a short squeeze here. I don't know if you can see that triangle he's drawing here where he thinks basically we're going to get to this end of this range and start breaking to the upside. He said, finally, it took us long enough. We broke through that pattern there. Boom. And then, now we've set up that, we broke up here and we ranged sideways. Now we're breaking, peaking up again. And, really starting, and I love on your, and then here it is, the continuation. This is what's going on right now. And we're probably sitting like right in this range here. What I like with the one Frank shows is you can see right in this range, that big chasm of the volume of why it's so quickly and very little news to blast through these levels right here. Ray from the gym.
Chat.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Love being in the basement yesterday. You guys are awesome. First time chatter. Welcome in, Ray. We'll definitely have to have you back on again. I really enjoyed it. Like Taco was saying, you're definitely a history guy, which I like as well. And Daniel from Unbanked was fun. So maybe we have an outside guest in once a week or something like that. So
maybe Collins.
Collins. I do want to do Collins. I was
stars,
talking
Alvin.
to the people on I hosted around the blockchain last night, and Rice, Keeper, and Mac and Cheesy all said they would love to call in anytime. So I want to get set up for that. Maybe we could put a box in the middle and they could be the third person on the
Sitting on
couch.
the couch.
Yeah, right there.
That's awesome.
You put their arm around.
Ziggy Wriggle, hello. Ray and Daniel had crazy alpha going on. Yeah, they did. Fat Sack. Gifting the sub, Joey Daniel. Look at that. Well, thanks
Thank
for the
you.
gifted sub. That's sick. So
Clean Spark, yeah.
where Clean Spark? Where? Oh yeah, Clean Spark would be awesome. Have somebody from them on. They could probably come. I mean, they're not too far away. Yeah, I like them. So,
Local-ish.
what do you think about some of these levels, Frank? I mean, I know you brought up, was it 19.1 you're looking at?
Yeah, about 19,165 is the major level I'm looking at to get above. And if we could crack above that level, we'd basically be breaking into the previous range that we were trading in not too long ago. We were trading in that range for forever. But if we could break back into that range and start trading up in that previous range, if we can get up to that $19,165 level, That would be pretty bullish in my opinion, because, you know, if we could, once we broke that range and started trading down here, we get back up into that range, it gives us room to run to the top of that range, which was about 25K. And if we can break out of 25K, we'll be in a very, very similar situation that we're in right now, or that we were just in a couple days ago when we were looking at that resistance level saying, hey, if we break this level, there's nothing above us. We could get moving pretty quickly. So we get back into that range and then break that 25K level, then we start looking up towards, you know, 28 to 30K. You know, and I know a lot of people are curious, are we going to have that little fake out bull run that we got in 2019 after the 2018 bear market? We had that little fake out bull market, and then the March 2020 crash basically gave you another last chance to get in at super low prices before the actual bull run. But yeah, if we could get above that $19,165 level, that would be very, very bullish in my opinion, because it gives us that opportunity to get up towards that 25K level.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if we could get confirmation from relief from the Fed, that's part of what it's going to take there. Now, somebody said, Sizzler, there's nothing to be bullish about heading into 2023. And I think on the traditional markets, a lot of things would agree. I'm bullish, not in a global macro, but strictly due to the Bitcoin cycles. It's worked very well in the past. We're right in the timeline to be bottoming. But we've got kind of an inverse article here that, you know, and again, take it with a grain of salt, but I wanted to get you guys' opinion on this. Is coming from VanEck, obviously a big hedge fund, you know, very well-versed in the traditional markets. And they've been very active within the blockchain and Bitcoin space, but they're saying Bitcoin could drop to 10 to 12K by Q1 2023. Obviously, they're not alone in this statement. A wave of miner bankruptcies, which I believe the Bitcoin mining bankruptcies, could keep Bitcoin under pressure in the first quarter of 2023. VanEck's Matthew Siegel said, but he forecast a bull revival in the second half of the year. So he tends to think we're going to be going better mid to late 2023, which I can agree with. But what do you think? You know, Bitcoin will test the $10,000 to $12,000 level in Q1 amid a wave of minor bankruptcies, which will mark the low point for the crypto winter. Basically saying the bottom will be in, you know, Q1 2023 amid more bankruptcies from Bitcoin mining companies. I tend to disagree with this statement. What do you think on that take, Drew?
Well, you know, I think that the narrative and the mainstream kind of conversation that's given to the public is basically opposite of what reality ends up being.
I tend to agree.
So I tend to basically just listen to what they say to know which way to go, opposite of which way they're telling.
So you hear statements, major statements like this coming out of somebody like VanEck, and you look at it and you say that's misdirection.
Yeah, I mean, I see it's just you know, higher class ensuring that mid and low class don't make it into their echelon in a mass amount. So I don't really take any of the narratives that they say very seriously, other than kind of counter trading them in essence. So yeah, I'm expecting a nice angled upward movement and ending 2023 somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000 per Bitcoin. But it'll be slow goings getting there. And yeah, I think that a lot of the geopolitical stuff actually has a lot of white swan capability that people have yet to see with energy arbitrage. And
what white swan?
Yeah, if you have nation states such as you know, the BRICS nations move into you know, Bitcoin-backed transfers, Bitcoin-backed banking setups to escape the SWIFT setup.
Okay, let me ask you this: how likely do you see? I mean, BRICS banks or BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. We know they're trying to move away from the petrodollar, move away from the U.S. dollar as reserve currency, establish their own trade.
Yeah.
Do you think they would really use Bitcoin-backed transactions?
I think that they would be comfortable with Bitcoin-backed transactions after the infrastructure is built. They've kept it kind of out of arm's reach of their mainstream population, but it's going to be a basket of goods that'll back up their fiat, in my opinion, such as gold, Bitcoin, and oil. So I think that they're going to have a nice diverse portfolio of their own goods to escape basically the world reserve currency.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it ties into what we were talking about yesterday with oil-rich nations using, you know, being heavy in Bitcoin mining and basically trading energy. You know,
Right.
If you have free energy, you can get Bitcoin. You can gold rich. You can trade it for energy and mine your Bitcoin. You know, it becomes a big trading system going on there. So El Capitan Salty said, "You're awesome, Frankie and Taco. Here's a question I didn't get a chance to ask on the live stream. Ben was talking about how because of the bankruptcy, they could go 3 months back and have people give their funds back. Would that also mean that
Binance would also have to give their funds back?
Oh, he's talking about clawbacks from creditors. I don't think so, because really what Binance was doing, I believe what they did was sell FTT that was already in their possession. Yeah. So they were owed a lot, and basically they were holding all this FTT. They said, we're going to offload as much as we think we can. So it's not necessarily like debt. Binance didn't even get everything that they were owed from FTX. Right. But it will have implications. And this is not just FTX. It's something they've talked about with Celsius. It's something, it's something that exists with most bankruptcies, is the clawbacks, where they can go up to 90 days back and claw back any assets. Like, basically it prevents a company from, right before declaring bankruptcy, moving all this stuff around and then saying, oh, it's all gone, which is pretty much exactly what FTX did. So it'll be interesting to see what type of clawbacks they're able to achieve, where the money, and that's why a lot of the stuff was in shell companies and real estate. It gets harder to claw back when you can get more protection around it. But we do have a story on that a little bit later in the show about the political donations and kind of what that happens there, or what is going to happen with a lot of those political donations. But real quick, coming back to this VanEck story, dropped to 12,000 would mean an 82% drawdown from the record high of 69 registered in November, which, marks the 85% standard drawdowns, which again, a lot of people are looking for that 12K number. We were talking about, 14K, maybe even, 10K, 12K, 14K, in that range. It's very consistent with the statistics of a typical drawdown. I just think, time-wise, we've seen the most pressure we're gonna see from all the different bankruptcies up until this point. They're holding out that we're gonna see miners go bankrupt. I'm not sure. Now, this I do tend to agree with. Siegel expects Bitcoin to bounce back to 30K in the second half of 2023. Frank was talking about that bull rally. I think we could see a mid-year rally in 2023 where we, say we trade between 20 and 28, which is what I keep saying. I think we're going to trade a really tight range. You can say 17 to 28, but once we get above 20, I think that holds really well. We trade between 20 and 28, maybe get middle of the year, fake out run. But this was something interesting. Lower inflation, easing energy costs, a possible truce in Ukraine, and frustration around the M2 money supply will power start of the new bull market, they noted, adding that an oil exporting nation would add cryptocurrency to its sovereign wealth fund, which is kind of what Drew was just talking about. And something Kevin O'Leary kind of hinted at in the meeting today a lot. Again, I am now 100% confident sovereign wealth nations are trying to get positions in Bitcoin right now. Yeah. They just said it here. Kevin O'Leary said it in the hearing today. But this is something I found very interesting. Other key forecasts. VanEck also expects financial institutions to tokenize more than $10 billion in off-chain assets and a new decentralized stablecoin to reach the $1 billion market cap. That's interesting. What stablecoin are they talking about? How are they going to, what assets do they plan to be tokenizing?
Right.
The investment giant also sees Brazil, which again, Brazil, very key player in all of this stuff. Yes. Time and time again, everywhere you look, Brazil's popping up. Brazil becoming one of the most crypto-friendly countries in the world and tokenizing a portion of sovereign debt offerings on the blockchain. Ripple losing the Securities and Exchange Commission lawsuit in the US, and Ethereum enabling withdrawals from the Beacon chain. So they've got this whole article, and this last paragraph or really two paragraphs, they've said a lot in all of this. They basically, they're predicting Ripple to lose the case with the SEC, Ethereum enabling withdrawals from the Beacon chain. They're saying Brazil is going to tokenize a portion of sovereign debt on the blockchain. They don't say which blockchain. There's going to be a new stablecoin with $1 billion market cap. Like, these are huge predictions. Yeah. What you got, Taco?
Is that something similar to what Tether is doing? Like tokenized assets off chain? Like assets represent the value of their Tether that they're creating? Is that something? Am I thinking something different?
No, Tether's a little bit different. Yes, there are a lot of people, like the number one thing people reference a lot when you're talking about tokenized assets is they're talking about real estate, or you could tokenize stocks, contracts, and all these things. You'd have, now again, they're going to be representations of other things, and it gets really heady with synthetic assets and real assets, and wrapping different things, but that is based. I think is it Synthetics STX? Is that still the ticker? Was a blockchain that was essentially that's what they were setting out to do: tokenize the stock market. Tokenize basically securities on a blockchain. And if they think they're going to start doing those things, it's going to get wild. And the fact that they're saying it so boldly, like they must have some information that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
But they're talking about tokenizing sovereign debt, basically taking a portion. Oh, you owe all this money. We're going to turn it into USD, whatever stable coin, maybe USDC, maybe this new stable coin they're talking about. So it's going to be easier for them to move it around and manipulate it if it's tokenized, which is really probably why they're looking to do that. And that's one of the main advantages of it. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see the price drop all the way to 10 to 12K. I know a lot of people are holding out for it. And I think even, Don Alt was kind of saying like, look, you can hold out for it all you want. But at this point, I've seen enough to start accumulating. He's been accumulating pretty aggressively since November, since that 15K. And I tend to agree. 15K more and more and more looks like a bottom to me. And the further we get from it, like, again, we're setting higher highs. We're making a new trend. And the longer that trend gets, the higher time frame you can go to and see that uptrend, obviously, the more, the stronger the trend becomes, over time. So have you seen, okay, let me ask you this, Frank, this recent price movement, have you seen anything that would change your opinion on top of, have you made a strong call like you think for sure the bottom's in or not?
Listen, I think it's definitely very likely that the bottom is in. The only thing that really makes me think that we can go lower is that percentage drawdown, right? But that's going to be right until it's wrong. And then the other thing is, we have come down a little bit more. When we were in the previous range that we were in, it didn't seem like enough of a drawdown for me. And then we got the FTX collapse. It brought us down another leg. And then that percentage it gets a lot closer, and you're also dealing with logarithmic regression. So, as the market matures, these drawdowns are just naturally, because there's more money in the market, it becomes a more stable asset as it matures. As time goes on, you're going to see these drawdowns get less severe and less severe. Just as you're going to see now this is a little bit different, right? Because we have an adoption bull run. Obviously, we could outpace the previous cycle's gains, but for the most part, as the market matures, the moves up and down both get less severe. So it's not impossible. Like, we don't have to go to 12K. We don't have to get that 85% correction. Number one, because it's not just some magic thing that we need to happen, but on top of that, I would personally expect it to be a little bit less in this cycle. So I do think there's definitely a strong case to be made that the bottom's in. But as a trader, I just never completely write it off because we make money going both ways. So if it dumps again, we'll make money. But I do think there's definitely a strong case. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of on-chain metrics that are pointing towards the bottom. A lot of those Glassnode charts are pointing to the bottom being in. We are well below the 200-week moving average, which has typically been the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. We get a little touch on the 200-week. In the last cycle, we touched that 200-week moving average, and then that was essentially the bottom. And then we actually went and touched the 300-week during the March 2020 crash. So, we are well below the 200-week moving average. And, I just tell people, I think I've heard you say this before, TJ, too, we are clearly far away from the top. So, if you're looking to get into the market, you're definitely not buying the top right now. So, I've been accumulating since, I've been accumulating over the past couple of months, and we talk about this all the time. The lower we go, the more I will go heavier in. If we take another drop down to 12K, 12 to 10K on a technical level, it makes absolute sense to go down there, but it doesn't mean you have to go down there. So,
yeah, I agree. Well, and time frame matters a lot too, of how the time mindset when you're investing matters. Like, if you're looking to do a long-term hold, you really need to be asking yourself, do I think the price is going to be higher or lower a year from now, right? Because you're going to have to wait at least a year for the capital gains tax, if that's the mindset you're in. If you're trying to scalp trade it, you need to be asking, is it going to be higher or lower in 15 minutes from now, which is totally, or 2 hours from now or a day from now. Like, it's a totally different mindset. But for me, generally speaking, I'm generally long-term accumulating, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so what I'm asking myself is, hey, if I make a big purchase now, do I think I'm going to be up this time next year? And for me, when you're talking, again, when you get above 20, maybe there's some discussions there, but really anything 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, anything below 20, I feel like there's almost again, no guarantees, but I feel extremely confident we will be far above 20 this time next year. And then again, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, whatever your time frame is. But if you're thinking about long-term gains, capital gains, tax, at least that 1 year period is what you probably should be considering, either under or over a year. So
yeah, I have one more thing. One of the main things that was kind of making me think that maybe the bottom's not in was the macro conditions and the fact that there are a lot of people out there, a lot of reputable people that think that the stock market has completely topped out and we're not going to see all-time highs for the U.S. stock market for a long time. So, I do take that into account too. Even just with all of the macro stuff going on just in the world and the economy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that crypto is going to follow that. I brought this up on the morning stream. I had Garrett Soloway on my show, and he was saying he doesn't think the stock market's going to make another all-time high for at least 15 years, but he's pretty bullish on crypto, for the next cycle and stuff. So he does think crypto can go lower, but just because the macro looks really bad or the stock market looks really bad, don't forget that the crypto can totally decouple from the stock market at any point. So just because stocks may look bearish in the long term, that does not mean that people are going to be looking for places to put their money, and crypto might be that next thing. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we will see the crypto and the stock market decouple in this next cycle due to a lot of the factors that you just mentioned. Chemistry Bro in the chat said, hey, did you guys see the breakthrough in fusion energy? Limitless free energy is right around the corner. Barely anybody's talking about this. I didn't see it until you mentioned it, but that is interesting. It is.
I saw that.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very interesting. I have a question too. First of all, a shout out to Spooky in the chat. He thinks he can do it better, and we
go for it, man.
We welcome you to attempt.
Yes. So he said he could do it better. Drop the link to your channel in the chat, Spooky, and I'll check it out. I'd love to see it.
Giga said, "Is AVAX a forgotten blockchain?" I want to know this.
I don't think so.
I bought a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Just added the network on the app, so you can send to like Avalanche blockchain now.
Really?
Yeah. So
you
like
don't
DeFi, so you don't have to do DeFi on Ethereum and pay the gas fee. You can do it on Avalanche, pay pennies.
Nick is pretty picky, and he likes Avalanche.
Yeah, that's what it. Everything's a forgotten chain in the depths of a bear market. If you're not Bitcoin and Ethereum, I mean, here's Avalanche chart right here. Obviously, decent, point to accumulate. If you're accumulating right now, it's probably found a floor. But again, where are we sitting at?
I think it gives it a lot of validity being added to Coinbase though, because they won't even add like Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, oh no, it does. It's definitely a valid chain, for where things are going. I'm just saying, I would still be careful with alts in bear market, sideways market. You're gonna now if you want to accumulate it, sure, accumulate it when you find it a price. Don't look at it and just know it can still drop 50% after being down 90%. And that's what I want. That's what I want to caution people. Like everybody feels like, oh, let's go crazy on alts, and it's like, now's the time to be accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. If you want to take some shots on some other alts, great. You can do it with caution is all I would say. And it can pay off huge. That's where you get the $1,000 turning into $100,000 or, a couple $100, whatever, small things turning into large amounts of money very quickly. But it's also where you get the $5,000 turning into $200, which, happens a lot. You'll see it a lot in 2019 where you're going in on things. It's down again. And then it just never really recovers. So
we have 5 minutes until Powell's speech.
That was the other thing Chemistry Bro said. Who's ready to trade this market on the FOMC announcement and meetings in minutes? So,
but on TJ's
we might have to let you go a little early if you need to, Frank.
On TJ's point,
I'm gonna take some profit.
Even if you don't want to purchase the coin for like an investment, use the blockchain if you do DeFi.
Yes. No, and that's the number. If you want to know if a chain is forgotten or valid, the number one, and I recommend this for any application, any wallet, anything you're testing in this space or anything you're curious about, like he just said, use it, test it, send some transactions. But oh, that was cool. I like this wallet, or I liked this swap, or that was easy, that was fast. Or didn't cost me anything. And you then when you have conversations and you understand, oh, you could use the Flow blockchain for this and for this and for this, but no, you would never use it for that. And if you're talking about that, it's clear you've never interacted with the chain. Same with, like we were talking about the discussion with Tron came up today, and I could Tron very similarly. Like somebody said, is it relevant? Is it dead? like there's still things happening on the Tron blockchain. It's still a top 15 coin and project, and what it does is fast transactions, cheap transactions. It's good for gaming projects, but you probably don't want to have a really high-end DeFi project on it because you're probably going to have issues, with hacks and stuff. We've seen it time and time again. So,
and even CryptoFace uses Tron to do his payouts.
He loves
on
Tron.
Market Cypher.
yeah, a lot of people. Like I'm saying, a lot of people like Tron. A lot of people I wouldn't say a lot. It makes it sound like it's common, but there are. There are definitely the Tron community is strong, and it's definitely in pockets in different places, and using the chain and deciding for yourself if you like the experience, I think is the best way to determine if a project is valid or valuable. Don't ask other people, mess with it and see what you think.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing to your point about accumulating altcoins. Like I just said, I've been accumulating for a few months now. It's mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. And like TJ just said, I did take a stab at a couple alts and just take this as a lesson. Solana was one of those coins, and bear market activities, right? Solana got wrecked. I got absolutely wrecked on that Solana bag. Obviously, I was just starting to scale in, so it wasn't a big bag. But that's the thing, right? You play around, try to accumulate an alt. Early-ish in the bear market, and you can completely get wrecked like I did. So, but like TJ said, high risk, high reward. It could be where you find those really good positions for those 100x's. So,
Riddle of Pun says Justin, or the Tron community is full of Justin Sun fanatics. Yeah, and maybe half of them might be Justin Sun. You never know. Mike said, "Hey, I was so glad I got done with work early. I was able to jump in and watch the show live with the gang." Yeah, if you guys want to watch live, twitch.tv. That's where you got to go to interact with the chat. Gonna dip. Watch the FOMC news. All right, love you, Riddle with Puns. Thanks for hanging out. Just curious, is it required to wear sweatpants to work there? Everyone looks super comfortable. It's pajama day.
It's pajama day
Today is pajama
today.
day. So it is not required, but it is a chosen thing that happens by about half the office. And
most of the time, yeah.
I'm not. Go ahead.
I wanted to answer Fat Sack 21's question.
Yeah.
And I got this
Fave
project
horse racing
from
NFT.
Big Pay, who minted the 8th block on Cardano. The project is called EQUINE.
Wait, what was his question?
He said, Taco, what's your favorite horse racing NFT?
Got it.
So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's EQUINE NFT Pioneer Horses Collection. So you can buy, you can race, you can breed, trade horses. And I got that from the guy who minted the 8th block on Cardano. It's a channel.
We don't. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
We don't know where we got Frank's hoodie. Somebody sent it in. I'm sure it's a merch company. And then Taco, where'd you get your hoodie? Taco's always got the best hoodies, by the way.
So they don't make this brand anymore. It's Pink Dolphin. It's the same as my hat. I think they're actually going to open their store in 2023. It's all like exclusive merch that they only make once and then they never make it again. So I've got about 30 sweatshirts that are like one of ones because it's all like tie-dye like this. It's kind of like my style. I like it.
All right, here we go.
Pull up the chart. Pull up the chart.
Yeah, I've got the chart. I've got no, it's the 5 minute. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
Wrong way.
Frankie, you're long.
Yeah. So somebody said, huge dump right on them. And we can, I guess we can go to something a little more. I just wanted to see the immediacy. So like, if you're looking at the hour, we're still good. Yeah, but obviously you push down. What's the lowest you like to go? I mean, you don't look at the minute, right?
1 second.
Here's the thing. There's a stigma on low time frames. There, in my opinion, there is good information on all time frames. But if you're looking at the minute, obviously not the best time frame to look at to try to figure out a longer term trend. But 15 minute. I really like the 15 minute.
Yeah, that's what we're on right now.
Yeah, it's long enough to mean something and short enough where you actually get some action. So look at those wicks. Oh,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't know about
it's tough to do this with a touchpad. I need like a roller ball.
So I don't know about you, Frankie, but what I like to do is I like to do it in like sections. Like the 15-minute pairs nicely with the hour, pairs nicely with the 4-hour. Kind of get it in segments of the blocks that you're looking at in the different time frames.
It's getting scooped up.
That's kind of how I look at charts.
Absolutely, I do something I do very very similarly. The main time frames I look at are daily, 4-hour, 2 and 1 hour, 15-minute, and 1 minute.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's
for the most part.
That's it. You mean half of them? Cool.
You mean all of them? Also, fun fact: The 7-day and the weekly chart are actually different time frames. They will give you different signals, which is very interesting.
That is interesting. Is it because of open and close or what?
To be 100% honest, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
See Bubba's crypto in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bubba's Crypto. I'm crushing my long. Thanks, brother.
Let's go. Shout out to Bubba's Crypto. Congrats, bro. Let's get it. Don't forget to pay yourself.
Yeah,
Looks
exactly.
I just paid myself.
50 base points.
Taking profit. So it looks like if you guys can see, and this is good education for those of you guys who don't trade a lot of kind of what is in the candle here. So let's explain that real quick. So obviously you can see we wicked all the way down here, and you can see this candle right here jumping up and down like the wick getting bigger or smaller. What just real quick? So we're on the 15-minute, right? Explain to a new trader at home, like what is it they're looking at with the candle here, the wick, the top, the bottom, and the body, basically.
Yeah, for sure. So if you don't know anything, so the candle, depending on what time frame you look at, right? This is the 15-minute. So each one of these candles, each one of these little bars. Oh baby, she's dumping.
Yeah, see. So what you can see is it was getting bought back up within this time frame, and now it's dumping lower.
Yeah. So each one of those bars a new one of those bars will be created every single 15 minutes. And then obviously on the hourly, you'll only get a candle every 1 hour. And then, the wick, basically you'll see as that candle pushes down and comes back up, it will leave that wick, or some people call it a tail. Some people call it a trail. You could call it whatever you want.
There
oh my God. This thing's
will it bounce?
dumping.
Will it bounce? Nope.
Oh my.
Oh,
All right, where are we going? Where are we going?
On Frankie's point, another way to look at it, like in grade school, when you're given like 100 points out of 100, it could be like a lot of them are geared on 50 or 60, and then you got the few outliers. The outliers are like the wick of the candle. So like all the bulk of the trading are within the body of the candle. Then the outliers are the wicks.
Right.
And as you can see, it's changing throughout the candle and the time frame.
And so when the time frame ends, wherever the price is where the body of the candle will end right here. So you'll know, like, okay, when the new bar starts within that 15 minutes, it went as low as 17.8, but it actually ended up, and see right now it's getting bought back up. Maybe it closes at 18. It's at 17.9 right now, going back down. It's pretty interesting. People kill me with the random time frame charts. Like, dang, the 7-minute chart looks rough, but the 13.5 second chart is amazing. Let's check the 22 and 3/4 quarter chart.
It's so true.
But traders like Frankie, they need to look at different charts to get confluence. To get
confirmation, basically, is what you're looking for.
If the 1 hour chart looks good, and then the 4 hour chart looks bad, you're not going to necessarily want to go into a long if the 4 hour chart is looking bad.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Like if the 15-minute is looking super, super bearish, you're not going to be entering a short position that you're going to hold for multiple days if the daily looks bullish, right? So, well said. Yeah,
well, but to be fair, I know exactly how you feel. When I was brand new to this, I thought I was like, what? It doesn't make sense. Like, they can change the way the candles look. They just come up here and change the time frame. They collapse this. They do. You can make it whatever shape. Oh yeah, we're on a free version, guys. Yeah, don't FUD us. Don't laugh at us. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, all you have to do is refresh it. You don't ever have to log in. So I don't want anybody having my data.
Mike Olin said CNN trying to spread misinformation about Binance. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was some. We'll shift gears here. I mean, we could, we're back above 18. We could sit here and watch the Bitcoin chart all day. But if you guys want to do that, sub the new 24/7 crypto channel, Hit Network. The Hit Network channel is now streaming all of the content that we do here, and anybody that works with us is all on that place. So if you guys want just 24/7 streaming crypto all the time, check out Hit Network. And they've got charts too.
Yeah, forget CNN.
Yeah, exactly. CNN. Yeah, exactly. So I found it very interesting, the banking committee hearing today, how much of the discussion, even though it was supposed to be to discuss FTX and SBF, they ended up talking about Binance quite a lot, which seemed like by design. Obviously, Kevin O'Leary talking about it. I think we've got the clip. Yeah, Kevin, I've got a clip here we could look at of him blaming it. Ryan Selkis said, Kevin O'Leary took $15 million from FTX as a paid shill. This guy from the OC got high and decided to write a book on crypto fraud. A never crypto academic conflates DeFi and FTX issues. These are the people the Senate selected for a hearing on issues that actually are important, which I tend to agree with this sentiment. When I kind of looked at it, I was like, this is who are answering these questions? Okay, Kevin O'Leary sure gets forced, could kind of force his way in there because he was very close to the FTX issue, but Ryan from the OC, very confusing to me why he was there. It was very clear. Everything he said, literally every answer he said was, it's because they're securities. It's because they're securities. If we treat them like securities, this wouldn't have happened. If basically clearly pushing for all crypto are securities. All crypto are securities. And there was a little bit of nuance there. I do think Kevin O'Leary, although his motivations for being there may not be the best reason, I do think a lot of his statements were actually productive for moving the blockchain and crypto industry forward. He did come back to blame Binance, and I do think that was a big distraction, and I knew that's where it was going. Like Justin Williams was in my office, we were talking, and then just as he was going, like, oh, here he goes, he's about to blame it on Binance. Basically, oh, I asked Sam, what happened to the money? Where'd you spend the money? And then he goes on to that whole story about, I had to buy out, this equity partner, and, it still did it with customer funds. That part of the story never tends to make it in there. But
what I thought was really interesting was how he was explaining out of the
rate hike confirmed 0.5.
Yep.
Boom. Thank you, chemistry bro.
Out of the 130 entities that are filed for bankruptcy under FTX, the one that is not at zero, did not file for bankruptcy, was their Ledger X, which is their margin leverage, U.S.-based exchange, which is very heavily regulated by the CFTC. So in the United States, regulated, and it's not at zero. So something did work. And, the accounting, everything else that FTX was messing around with is in bankruptcy hearing right now. So.
Yeah, but I think that was, in my opinion, I think that's a stretch to say, oh, if it was regulated, none of this would have happened. Like, oh, look, this one thing was regulated, this one thing didn't go bankrupt. Most of what they had wouldn't have gone bankrupt had they managed it within the laws that already existed. Had they not combined user funds, there was no reason for a lot of these things to go bankrupt. But according to John Ray, everything was commingled, so there's no way to know whose is what. So they had to just lump it all together. FTX US, FTX Australia, a lot of these other entities should have been fine. But I think saying Ledger X being regulated is why that's the only one that's solvent, I think is a false statement. I think he's just trying to push for clear regulation. I did find it fascinating that he also confirms sovereign wealth nations are trying to get involved in Bitcoin and Ethereum. He said Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few others. They're trying to buy. He specifically mentioned Abu Dhabi, which we know, obviously right outside of Dubai, we know most of the money is in Abu Dhabi. Tons, your sovereign wealth, you're talking hundreds of billions and $1 trillion funds being managed that want to get exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and now they're talking about it. And they're basically saying the infrastructure is not there today for these sovereign wealth funds to take advantage of this new technology or to move into it, and they want to. And I think that's what's going to get set up in 2023, and that's what's going to set up the biggest bull run we've ever experienced in our entire lives in 24 and 25. So let's go Bitcoin.
Shout out to Andrew Hedgepath in the chat.
Hey,
Andrew, let's go.
Long time no see.
Read off. He said, "What's going on, team? Hope y'all are well. Love the new layout. Keep doing the new work. Yeah, you're welcome to hang out anytime." Andrew started with us as an intern, worked with us for a while. Awesome guy. Hope you're doing really, really well up there with the new fam and all that stuff. So yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Let's go. Shout out to Andrew. What's up, brother? So I was just gonna say, somebody said, "Don't worry, guys. The market dumping is just crypto face selling his positions."
Yeah,
he's in a really big trade right now.
Yeah, I was wondering, were you able to get your profits in, Frank?
I did. I took half my profits.
If we need to stop for a minute, I'll give you that.
We're good. I probably took profits right alongside Bubba's crypto.
Yeah, there you go, Bubba's. I'm just gonna see if I could pull this up.
That was a good call.
Supposed to be live right now because they were saying, let's see, seems like Powell talking is usually what actually determines the market correction. Yeah, it does. People are waiting to see. Let's see if I'll pull that back.
Even though he says the same thing every single time.
Yeah, but they're waiting to see, does he sound hawkish or dovish? I mean, hawkish meaning bearish, dovish meaning bullish.
Did you see
roughly
Benjamin Cohen's poll on Twitter? Had I think 18,000 votes, and it was 50-50 hawkish dovish.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Interesting.
Well, I will say I do polls in my chat a lot, not with 18,000 people participating, but I will say this: I once in a while I always ask something different, but a lot, obviously, a common question is bullish or bearish? Are we pumping or dumping? And yesterday was the closest it's ever been. It was basically 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, here it is. That's December FOMC. Powell will be hawkish, 50% dovish, 18K votes.
Jeez. How is that possible?
That's insane.
Could be that Jay Powell talk is going to be dovish and big players are dumping to get better entry prior to the speech. Maybe. Yeah, the rumblings, as of yesterday, I started hearing a lot of people talking about it being surprisingly more dovish than we think, like alluding to maybe not doing more hikes next year or anything he said. Like if he says we're gonna even if they do 0.2, yeah, it's still having a hard time holding above 18,000. So I think he will lean. I think he's worried to lean too dovish because we're barely getting the results we need on inflation. Like we are coming in as expected. It is down like barely, but it's mostly year over year. So it's still, again, not where they want it to be, I don't think. So I think they still need to do some more rate hikes, but they don't want all the markets to break at the same time. So do we want to watch the clip of Kevin O'Leary blaming Binance for...
I can't stand that guy.
Yeah. What did you watch any of the bank committee hearing this morning, Drew?
No, I didn't.
Did anybody else watch it? Was it just me?
I watched a little bit.
You watched a little bit. Which part did you watch? Were you watching Kevin or other people?
It was the lady, Kevin, and the guy all the way on the right who was saying everything's a security, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ryan from OC. Which who watched the OC? Anybody watch the OC?
I did.
I mean, I watched the OC. It's a good show.
My cousin
guys.
was on that show.
Really?
For an episode or two, I think.
Really?
He was dating one of the girls.
No way.
It was like probably 5 or 6 years
One of the
ago.
main people?
Yeah.
I think so.
Who?
Well, he's now married to
TJ
Alexa
watched.
Bliss from the WWE.
No way.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that's my first cousin, Ryan Cabrera.
Oh, hey, yeah, that's right. I remember that fun fact about you, Ryan Cabrera, and he did
That's
other stuff too,
cool.
right? He did like
he had his own show on MTV.
Yeah.
Now he does like DJs for like celebrity parties, and he's traveling all over the world. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah. Mr. Magoober said Toomey and Lummis did a great job of reiterating that it's a people problem, not a crypto technology problem. I agree. I thought there was, again, some pretty good questions. Some of them are meh, and then some pretty decent answers. And for the most part, other than Kevin O'Leary blaming Binance, he was advocating for the United States needs to favorably regulate here. Like we need regulation. That was very clear. He kept saying regulation would fix it. Regulation would fix it. Regulation would fix it, which I disagree with. But he was very strong to say blockchain technology is real. It's here to stay. It's going to impact the entire world. It is the new growth sector. I think he called it the 12th sector, the 12th district of. So basically, he's going to be the 12th industry or aspect or sector added to the NASDAQ or the S&P. Blockchain will be the next big industry, which I don't know what the other 11 are. You got tech, you got agriculture, you got what?
One of his most famous songs is called "On the Way Down," and then wrote it on the way down about the crypto bear.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we got to find that one and play. Maybe
perfect.
that's this is the on the way down to the bottom of the Bitcoin price. You're heading to the basement. It's the opposite of up only. You got up only with Kobe on Twitch. You got down to the basement over here. So bear market blues is where you hang out with your friends when nobody else wants. You're too embarrassed to talk crypto with anybody else other than people that are also down 85% with you. So you're in good company here, guys. You're all welcome here. But I do agree. Toomey and Lummis did a pretty good job. And like I was saying, I thought it was clear that they want money. Kevin, love him or hate him, which I'm not a big fan. He sees there's big money that's trying to get into Bitcoin right now. And if he can help them do that, it's going to be very profitable for him. And that's really what he's saying. He does still have some blockchain investments. He also mentioned Brazil. Like the fact that Brazil is getting brought up so much in all of these discussions is fascinating to me. The fact that Berkshire Hathaway, invested in Warren Buffett invested in Nubank, which is a Bitcoin bank in Brazil years ago, while again bashing Bitcoin constantly. Like they are positioning themselves for the new financial system that has been being created for the last decade at this point, and now it's getting to a critical mass point where we're going to start seeing it hit network effects. And that I think again is really what's going to set up the most insane bull market. It's why this one got cut short, because we had big money players trying to get in and get strong positions, which I think we're seeing and experiencing. Why does it always say that? I'm not Gary Gensler's stepson.
What?
I don't know. I don't know why BJ did that. It's like you just put TJ Secret and it says I'm Gary Gensler's stepson. That'd be a scary proposition. But, so yeah. Anyway, biggest bull run of our lives coming in 2024 and 2025. And this guy right here, not that guy. It'll switch back. That guy right there could be responsible for better or worse for some of the stuff. Now,
what is he doing there?
He was responding to questions about FTX. Basically, this was a hearing about FTX. Now, again, he constantly blames Binance, and he constantly points to Binance as a monopoly, saying that we need to regulate, like, which we do. That's what drives me crazy. There is Binance US, and like that was very confusing to me too. There was FTX US. The problem was the company was commingling all the funds, so it doesn't matter how many disclosures you do for FTX US if the money isn't where it's supposed to be, which again, I guess that's on Gary Gensler to do the due diligence to check and make sure it is, and he didn't do it. And what is it he gave him? What was the basically no?
He gave him a no action relief.
No action relief. Yeah,
that's gonna bite him. I hope he ends up in jail, just like Sam.
Yeah, and I think he I think is insulated enough to most likely not end up in jail, but I do think he will be out of power because I think he's.
People said that about Sam. Look where he is now.
True. I just think there'd be too much political blowback.
Yeah.
For everybody that's interacted with Gary Gensler throughout his entire career or throughout his entire tenure at the SEC. So I think they'll just move him along and hope everybody just forgets about it.
I could understand how Jesse from Kraken,
Jesse Powell,
and Brian Armstrong from Coinbase are so upset about this. They're running legitimate exchanges. Regulated in the United States. Meanwhile, like FTX US was in the United States, and all of this, just like TJ was saying, was all just lumped in all the customers' assets. So there's no separation, it seemed, at all.
Well, no, there definitely wasn't, and I think that's what struck me about what Portnoy kept bringing up is you've got people like Elon Musk, like Dave Portnoy, like Brian Armstrong, like Jesse Powell. They can't. Like Jesse Powell had to settle for $300,000 over like teeny tiny little details around, who can and can't receive funds on their exchanges. They can't do anything without regulators asking them for more money and paying millions of dollars in legal fees and disclosures to get all this stuff right. Meanwhile, you've got this guy doing insane stuff over there and gets a clear pass from the regulators. It's hard to believe that it wasn't orchestrated. And, and the more people you see, the more orchestrated it feels, but it's hard. Obviously, everybody isn't in on it, but who was and who wasn't, I think is part, obviously, of what they're going for. And
so, TJ, I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
In the meeting this morning, it seemed that they really want to kind of hone in on Binance in the United States. How do you feel like in the next year or so, the United States is going to respond or try and bring in Binance to get regulatory clarity?
Again, they have when the SEC reached out to Binance and said, we want US citizens off your platform, they did. And they made it very difficult. Even if you can't even use Binance.com if you're using a VPN because they can tell the cell provider you're using and say, oh, that's only in, you're using for, who like a
geolocation.
Yeah, they're basically who would provide who's like a satellite provider that does internet. Like you're using Comcast, okay? If you're using AT&T for your internet, we know you're using that in the United States because we don't have that where your VPN says you're logging in from. So you must be a US person, so we're going to kick you off even though we can't tell by your IP address. Like that's how far they went to adhere to the United States law in the SEC, and that's why to me it's a moot point discussion to say we need to regulate Binance. What they're trying to do is say Binance is too far ahead of them and they're a monopoly and we need to slow them down. And then you can infer the why because I have a competing exchange that I want to rise up and go against them. And it was going to be FTX. FTX is gone. FTX was the number 2 competitor and it was the chosen one again for the institutional money, the Kevin O'Leary, all these big money players, they had an equity stake in it. In the number 2 crypto exchange, and it just went to 0. And now Binance has a massive lead. I'm not, you could combine all the other, like Coinbase is big, Kraken is big. They don't process anywhere close to the volume that Binance does. So Binance, far and away market leader. So they're going to be chipping away at that lead any way they can if you're going to try to compete with it. And that's what I think Kevin O'Leary is trying to do. That's what I think, again, BlackRock, Citadel, a lot of the people, Sequoia, a lot of the people that were invested in FTX, they now need another play like that. BTC dumping already. Let's see.
I don't know if you guys have covered this. In Canada, they can't do leverage anymore.
They did, yeah, I did see that. And Kevin O'Leary he owns an exchange in Canada. That's what's interesting to me is he's advocating for the United States to open up this stuff so that they can, I think, put in another chosen player. And that's why you're seeing so much attacks and direction thrown at Binance, because they're the biggest game in town. And if you're going to compete, that's what I think we're seeing is people taking shots at number one. So I don't know. We're holding that 17.9 right now.
Yeah, those chats always get me. Like, it's always like it's dumping, and it's like you don't know if that's a late chat or like, and I'm like, oh no, and I look and I was like, oh god, I already
went
knew
as
that.
low as 17.8. It's back up to 17.9. Like if it can hold near 18. That's strong, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I also do just want to point out, like I say this until I'm blue in the face, and the only reason I do it is because it is the one of the things that I wish I knew when I first started trading, or wish I knew way sooner. Divergences. We were looking at a 1 hour bearish divergence and a 45-minute bearish divergence forming. We were talking about it on the morning show, and boom, we're coming down. One of the most reliable trading signals you can get, and you could find them for free.
Yeah. Frankie, do you believe that you can almost show me the chart and I'll tell you the news?
100%. Now, I'm not saying that the price is moving because of the chart and the news means nothing, but I am saying that I always use this example. I was in a short one day. This is a while ago now. I was in a short one day, and it was, I put the short in. It was low leverage. And whatever, I was in the office and DZ walked by and he goes, yo, did you see that? Because DZ stopped into the office and goes, hey, did you see the Elon dump? And I was like, Elon dump? What? I was like, oh, my short must be paying off. And I go and I check, and like the short's like super deep in profit. And I shorted a technical setup. I had no idea that Elon was going to tweet or whatever happened. Like I had no idea about the news. I literally just shorted the technicals, and like two minutes later, someone just decides to come out and push the market down. It just happened to be right there at that technical signal. So 100%, it's one of the most fascinating things about technical analysis, in my opinion, is that time and time again, I will trade based off of a technical signal, and then just the news just happens to like that bearish divergence we were talking about this morning. And then whatever Powell said in his meeting, it must have pushed the price down. It's just so weird how it all lines up all the time.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty interesting. Never been subbed. Okay, no, that's cool.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Yeah,
he just loves us. He's just in here so much.
He has been here the entire time.
Yeah,
for someone who hates us so much.
I want to ask you guys this about all the Binance stuff regarding, well, hold on, before you show that was my joke.
Oh.
Don't show my joke.
All right.
I wanted to ask, do you guys think it's FUD, or 50, some truth, some FUD, but you're not worried? Like, how worried are you about Binance and being insolvent? Do you think there's truth to it, or do you think it's all a bunch of noise, starting with Taco?
With CZ's confidence on Twitter, I mean, obviously you could say like Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam was very confident on Twitter, yeah. So was Do Kwon, so.
Yeah, but I feel like there's similarities and differences. Like CZ running the biggest exchange in the world, I think has like a chip on his shoulder when he tweets out, because he knows that his company, his business is fine. And he showed, I think they had 62 billion in reserves, and right now they're at like 57, 58 billion after all these people are withdrawing. So I'm gonna say that I think CZ and Binance are gonna be fine.
And let us know in the chat if you guys think noise or real concern. What do you think, Drew?
I think it's absolute noise, and I hunt pheasants, and I use a dog to scare the pheasant out of the ground so I can blast it. So I think that's what they're doing.
They're trying to scare him into making a mistake? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Scare him to sell the bag at the loss and get out of the way.
Interesting. Frank?
I will say I'm also a big pheasant hunter, so big fan of pheasant hunting. But I would listen. I think they're gonna be okay. However,
it's tough to pin you down on a hard statement, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Same with you, TJ.
I think they'll be okay, but really all I care about is the fact that with all this like bad, FUD, price is holding up really well. And it's like, you know, we had the Celsius collapse, big dump, right? And then we had the FTX collapse, which was, in my opinion, an even bigger event. And we didn't dump as much, right? So if Binance went down, I would expect the market to hold up. I think it would, if we did go down, I think it would affect us and push us to the downside, but I think it would be even less than the FTX crash. And in my opinion, that's just bullish altogether, right? Because it's showing, Garrett Soloway I was talking about this with Gareth, showing a bullish divergence between the news and the price action. So, you know, if you keep trying to push the price down, it's just going down less and less and less. It's eventually, I mean, it's going to find a bottom eventually. But no, I mean, I think they'll be fine. I mean, they're Binance. I couldn't really see them go down.
Oh, we got a competition between Piccolo Rick and Unleashed in there. So two big Ali fans. What do you think, Ali? Binance FUD or real insolvency issues?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was real issues.
And that's a good point. There's nothing at this point. Nothing surprises me. When I saw, last night in the research group, they were talking about when Sam, where was that? When he was at, like, basically what the defense they used for him not going to jail. Where was it?
Oh yeah.
Where? Before the proceedings. Yeah, this is from the Bohemian proceedings and stuff. Before the proceedings could begin, Bankman-Fried's attorney asked the judge for permission to allow his client to take prescription medicine. Bankman-Fried said he wasn't allowed. Had it in his possession at the time he was arrested. Hadn't had access to it since yesterday. They brought in his belongings in a Ziploc bag, which contained the medication. Judge asked if he needed water to take it. He said, "I don't need water, but I do need to take my shirt off to take them."
Is that real?
Yes, this is real. Bankman-Fried, who is known to take NSAM patches as antidepressant, told the court. Well, you certainly can't take your shirt off in court, the judge said, before allowing him to leave the courtroom for several minutes to take his medication. Bankman-Fried, who was characteristically jittery before this medication, was no longer jittery upon court. And again, I was joking in the research group. I'm like, geez, this is getting so ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if at this point, like, this is all a big pharma play to sell happy patches to all of us. And it's all just, this poor kid has to take these patches that keep you from being depressed. And if you take these happy patches, everybody's happy and we don't have any problems. But no, so I agree. Nothing is off the table at this point. Nothing would be surprising. So if you guys... I will say this. I think it's noise. I think Binance is fine. And if you're rooting for them to go under, basically what you're rooting for is a 10-year bear market. So keep that in mind. That being said, if you like the peace of mind of self-custodying your funds and you still want to trade, I have been testing this thing called apex.exchange. The link is in the description. It's multi-chain and it's permissionless trading and it's no KYC and 100% self-custody. So you control your funds the entire time. You connect a wallet to it, and you can trade with leverage if you want. You can trade, low leverage spot, all sorts of different things. And again, multi-chain. So if you guys are looking for a way to not have to trust an exchange and still trade, that's one way to do it. That being said, I think Binance is fine. But if it goes under and you lose all your money, I gave you a way to not do that. So you can't blame me. So I thought this was kind of funny. We had the infamous Jim Cramer coming out and saying, "Do you feel as reassured by Binance as I do?" And then CZ was like, "Oh, Jim, no, please don't use Binance for the sake of everyone else." So, he was joking, a little tongue in cheek, obviously, but
half joking.
Yeah, he says half joking, but he didn't want to get the reverse indicator curse of Jim Cramer and thinking everything's fine, and then now Jim Cramer says, "No, everything's fine," and then I just thought that was pretty funny. But it's Hit Network Gaming around today. Yes, I believe they're streaming right now. We should most likely be rating them after this show.
Every once in a while, Jim Cramer's tweet of "I like Coinbase at 475" comes up.
Yeah,
and then I think the other day he tweets out something about Coinbase at $40.
Right.
No, not yet.
Not yet. No. Yeah, and then I saw it, and somebody quote tweeted on here, "Why'd you like it here then? But you don't like it here." He only likes it at the absolute pocket. Oh, Corey knows the schedule better than I do. He said he's not streaming today. So okay.
CZ's my new favorite person, just from that tweet.
Yeah, he's
it's epic.
That's pretty funny.
He is. It's a trade-off for sure. I don't think he handled the Coin Mama situation very well, but generally speaking, as a CEO or as a big company leader, I think he does pretty well on Twitter. Kind of like Elon Musk. I saw a funny response to Elon Musk. They're like, dude, what is your screen time on your phone? How do you possibly tweet this much and run $300 million plus companies? Like, you're on your phone constantly. So, but I mean, when Twitter is one of them, now it's definitely working to be on Twitter. So. I guess that's what he was trying to do. He's like, I spend so much time on Twitter, might as well buy it so I can call it work.
I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I think Elon blocked the accounts that were tracking his private jet. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, he's always like free speech. Twitter's a place for it, and then at the same time, it is a private jet, and I think he was even trying to pay that person who was tracking his jet like $10K or something.
I did hear about some of that. I never did hear the confirmed the results to it. So every day after the basement stream, Joel gets all excited when we storm into his stream and continue where we left off here. A bunch of dang degens. Yeah, that's funny.
Manly Crypto, these are pajamas. This is pajama day at the Hit Network office today.
We're in holiday mode, guys. We're winding down. I did have one more thing. So this is what I'll say is the most. TJ, I'm super disappointed. Didn't say let's get this guy in front of a crowd. What?
Sometimes it's like decoding backwards riddles.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back up to where I said. Either way, let's get this guy in front of a crowd. Huh? Let's go, Corey. All right. What's interesting to me about all these proceedings, and this is something I noticed happening a lot in late 2019 or really early January, February, March 2020, when a lot of the pandemic stuff was going on. There's all sorts of documents and statements and testimonies and laws and bills and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And kind of like in that VanEck article we read, the significant part is just 2 lines in here or 2 lines in there where, like all this stuff about pandemic relief and just the 1 line where we're going to drop Federal Reserve banking from 10% to 0 is like, hey, that's a significant thing that nobody mentioned. It's just a little 1-liner in there, and some of that is what's interesting to me coming out of these testimonies, like I was pointing out with the VanEck thing, which obviously wasn't a testimony, but this one here, the CFTC considers Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tether to be commodities. And again, that's of this regulation, that's a lot of the discussion. What's a security? What's a commodity? And in their statement, this is exactly what they said. A digital asset is anything that can be stored and transmitted electronically and has been associated has associated ownership or use rights. Digital assets include virtual currencies such as Bitcoin, Ether, and Tether, which are digital representations of value that function as mediums of exchange, units of account, and or store of value. Certain digital assets are commodities, including Bitcoin, Ether, Tether, and others as defined under section, yada,
TJ,
yada, yada.
Would you say you tend to agree?
Yeah, why? Because I say it all the time.
They do it to me all the time.
Yeah. Waiting for TJ. Oh, yeah. It's all right. It's all right. I noticed. So when you guys do content, you'll realize there are definitely things you tend to say quite often. I tend to agree with a lot of people. Frank will say a lot of things, but let's get right back into it.
Yeah. Or my big one is, with that being said, with all that being said,
Ben, the long and the short of it, I noticed DZ was hosting the other day, or was on a show we were doing the other day. He stole one. He said, you really hit the nail on the head with that one. I was like, oh, man, he's been hearing. I say that all the time. Yeah. With that being said, that's another thing I say all the time. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of speech patterns that are common when you talk to audiences and cameras and chat a lot. You're gonna say stuff.
Hey,
so
I have a question.
At the end of the day, that's a great one. Piccolo Rick.
Yeah.
Yes, Taco.
So the quote you just read on that article. So actually, Nick, who just walked in, and myself we're in the spaces yesterday talking about like stable coins. So the quote you just read, so does that mean that USDC is a security then? Because they have the right to like take it out of your wallet, pretty much do whatever they want with their own USDC coin, no matter where it is. It's on a ledger. They could still like block it from being used. They could take it from you. So what do you feel about that?
I don't think they would call it security because there's not potential to gain. It's a stable coin. I think stable coins will be pretty safe, I think, but we'll have to wait and see, like, because part of the security is and something along the lines of a group of individuals performing an action to produce gain for the holders of that security. So I don't know, unless you're getting, and that's where the yield on stablecoins is what gets very interesting there. But again, stablecoin issuer wouldn't be the one producing the yield necessarily. So yeah.
I don't trust Rostin Benham with 1 inch of my body. That commissioner of the CFTC is going to try to destroy proof of work.
Well, and that's what's interesting, because does the CFTC chairman hold a different opinion, which is who he's talking about, Rostin Benham. While the CFTC lawsuit said ETH was a commodity, Chairman Rostin Benham appears to hold a different opinion of the asset. Let's see. At a recent, and again, this is some of the stuff that's very interesting. A private crypto event at Princeton University. Who was there, what was there, but clearly they were discussing with the head of the CFTC what should be a security, what should be a commodity. Benham said Bitcoin was the only cryptocurrency that should be classified as a commodity. Sounds like he's been talking to some Bitcoiners or maximalists.
Sailor.
The statement was in contrast to previous ones made by the regulator. In May, Benham said Bitcoin and Ethereum were fit to be labeled commodities in a CNBC interview. He also reportedly made a similar statement at a New York event in October, suggesting that the SEC chair Gary Gensler has a different opinion. Yeah, I remember when he made that statement, saying he thinks they should be commodities, but Gensler thinks differently. After ETH migrated to the proof-of-stake network, Gensler reportedly said cryptocurrencies that allow staking could qualify as securities under the Howey test. Meanwhile, token classification remains a significant issue, and the U.S. regulators have failed to clarify how assets can be classified. Presently, the SEC and the crypto payment firm Ripple is involved in a 2-year-long battle, which we all know. And this is the big debate: who should be in charge of setting these parameters? And that's what, if you're watching the morning stream, Ben and I were talking about. We need clear guidelines, rules, regulations, whatever one you call it. We need a borders to work within, so we can continue to push this industry forward. And as long as they keep no information and just regulation by enforcement, go after whoever they want to, whenever they want to, it's always going to be biased and unfairly applied, which you could argue is a rule with regulation in general. It's not applied uniformly. It's not applied the same to all parties and at the same times, which is clearly what we can see with FTX, Coinbase, and Binance. Look at how the regulation was applied to Binance versus how it was applied to Kraken and Coinbase versus how it was applied to for FTX. Clearly, being closer to the center helped FTX not have the same regulatory pressure on them, even though all the laws did exist. So I will caution anybody: don't champion more rules and more laws as the end-all be-all solution, because it will end up making things more difficult eventually. That being said, I do think we need some kind of framework. The battle is between the SEC and the CFTC right now. I think there should be a different body that regulates some of this stuff.
Yeah.
A digital, somebody who knows digital assets. This is not, basically, it's not a standalone clear commodity, and it's not a standalone clear security. There's some that can be both. There's some that's a mix. There's some, when you do it this way, it's a commodity. When you do it this way, it's a security. And we need a new board or system for determining and making decisions about regulation in crypto and how to move the industry forward, how the United States can stay a top player, because if we don't, it's going to get ugly here really fast. And so, yeah, that's what I'm pushing for. But it's interesting to me, through these hearings, you're seeing the signs of some of the politicking between the head of CFTC, the head of the SEC. You got, chairs in different places, and financial committees, and, controller of the currency, and the Fed, and, it's all political. A lot of it's theater. But the important thing is stay in crypto. Don't get too distracted by the noise. Don't let fear take over. Mm-hmm. Continue with your plan. Continue to buy. The research you're doing is good. The information you're learning is valuable. Continue to do all that stuff. Continue to educate yourself. Hold your own keys. Take profits, set stop losses, do all the things you learn on this channel, and you can use. What do we think about all these hearings? We've been talking about it the whole show, Juggy. Where you been?
I think he's late, maybe.
Juggy, I think you're a little late. We're about to wrap up. We've been talking about it for an hour and a half.
Chemistry Bros said, a quote from Powell, "It will take substantially more evidence to show inflation is on a sustained downtrend.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that's a true statement. And that's why for everybody that's leaning extremely dovish and saying like, oh, maybe we get a 2.5, maybe we get 0, maybe he says he's not going to do any more rate hikes. I don't think he's going to do that because he knows the inflation is barely dropping. And again, it's year over year, guys. So that means like we had really bad inflation last year, and this year it's 7% worse than it was last year. So it's not, that ain't great. It was bad last year and it was bad this year. It compounds, so it needs to be going down and going down fast. Yeah, Chemistry Bro said not dovish at all, which doesn't surprise me. And it will, like again, price moves up just a little bit. Everybody gets really excited. We're heading back to 20K. It's going to be a grind. It's going to take a long time. Don't get too overexcited. Like I was just saying, stick to your plan. Or, hey, make a plan, stick to your plan, use tight stop losses, continue to trade, don't get shaken out, survive in the market, stack funds. There's a lot of different things you can do in this market, and you will set yourself up for success for the rest of time. Joey, Daniel, thank you guys for your time. I think that's all we got today. We love you guys. We got some fun ideas for things we can do with Blockchain Basement. Still going to get the Discord going and working, which I know you guys have heard me say before. Got to clean up the other Discord. There's way too much stuff in there. And I'm still playing with ChatGPT, and I'm finding some really, really fun stuff that hopefully I will be able to push out for you guys soon. So again, share this with your friends. If you guys are here, give us a like and a sub. We love you guys here on Twitch. In the meantime, if you guys are listening anywhere else, we love you guys. Go
Have
check
a great
out
day.
Frankie Candles.
Oh, yeah.
Peace out, y'all.
Oh, kiss your wife.
Bing bong.
Sounds fun.